The 737 MAX, is it safe? Will there be any more incidents? Is it safe to fly in Boeing's history? After this. Today I'll be talking about three things for you. First, 737 MAX. Second, the system on the plane called MCAS. And third, the return of it to service. Number one. According to a documentary, Downfall, the Case Against Boeing, about the plane, the 737 MAX had sold very well, and everybody was expecting it to be a great airplane. It sold very well, and with Boeing promising no simulator training, the 737 MAX will be a safe airplane. Then in October of 2018, a 737 MAX 8 operated by Lion Air crashed in Java Sea with passengers with 157 people on board. This came a really surprise to everyone with Boeing, not knowing that a plane like the brand new plane would crash. And the airlines wanted to know why the plane wasn't grounded. According to a documentary, Downfall, a Case Against Boeing, Boeing promised that the airplane would be safe and that they would still be flying, and it's safe as a company. Then Boeing ultimately told Lion Air that they cannot have simulator training, and they really wanted one. So in transition, the 737 MAX was not as safe when it first came out. Second thing, MCAS system. According to the Boeing.com, the MCAS system flight control was designed to enhance the pitch stability of the plane so that it feels and flies like a regular 737. First thing, according to Boeing.com, the MCAS was designed to activate in manual flight with the flaps up and at an elevated angle of attack. Second, according to Boeing, the MCAS system will now only rely on both sensors and activate it once the stabilizer goes up, forcing the nose down. Now it relies on both sensors. If the sensors disagrees a 5.5 degree or more with the flaps retracted, the MCAS system will not activate. Now there's an indicator on the flight deck displaying with alerts and the pilots. If MCAS will activate in a non-normal condition, it will provide one input only from each elevated angle of attack event sensor. MCAS can never command more stabilizer input than can be counteracted with the flight crew pulling back on the column. The pilots will continue to always have the ability to override the system and manually control the plane. Now I've talked about my first thing, the 737 MAX and this MCAS system. Now for my third and final point, the 737 MAX return to service. According to King 5, the 737 MAX return to service is now more safe than anything. The pilots will now have manually controlling the system and the system will now rely on both sensors. Now simulator training will be mandatory according to David Calhoun and Simple Flying. In 2020 of November, the FAA recertified the MAX. Since that time, millions of passengers have flown on it. Transport Canada recertified the 737 MAX in 2021, and other regulators also recertified it. According to Downfall, the Case Against Boeing, the pilots on Lion Air also wanted to have simulator training, but Boeing basically lied to them and told them no. The merger with McDonnell Douglas also influenced the airplane to crash. According to Michael Doran from Simple Flying, David Calhoun, the CEO of Boeing, says the MAX is on track and has performed well for the customers. According to John Cox, an analyst for CNBC, the 737 MAX return to service appears to be broad conscious in aviation history. In conclusion, the 737 MAX return to service was a little bit longer than we have expected, and the airlines have hoped. Now, a simulator trained the MCAS system is important and will rely on both sensors. It is also important for pilots to be in a simulator, not in flight. In conclusion, after all these improvements, according to Boeing, the 737 MAX is one of the safest airplanes in the world now. Today I've talked about three things for you. The 737 MAX, the system called MCAS, the third, return to service of it. Reinforcement. According to Sully Sullenberger, who was at Congress in 2019, who landed Flight 1549, he said all pilots should experience these challenging things in a simulator and not fly with passengers and crew on board.